The Book of Spamton, made by Nairo. Deltarune, made by Toby Fox. The Book of Spamton. Chapter 1. On May 3, 1978, the very first spam email was sent, and thus, Spamton was born. He was the embodiment of a spam email, and was just like all of the other Addisons. They were designed to sell items to the likeners, which were people from the real world. They all had long noses, wore a black shirt and green pants, and were different colors. There were 5 of them: pink, blue, orange, yellow, and Spamton, and they were all really good friends. And all of them went to the same cyber grill together and talked. Life was going well for them. Except for Spamton. For some reason, his products never seemed to hit. And the likeners never paid attention to him. Night after night, he would talk about making it big. You just watch. Someday, I'm gonna be a big shot. Yet no matter how much time would pass, his products still failed to sell. He eventually got a little desperate and looked for any way to become more popular. But in 1997, he made the right phone call and found someone, or was he found by someone? But it didn't matter because all of a sudden, his sales went through the roof. The person on the phone must have been helping him, because now he was on the phone all the time. He opened a car dealership called Big Shot Autos, and people all over Cyber City ran over to buy themselves a car. And it worked. But the question was, what was he doing to be so successful? Why did he, out of all the other Addisons, deserve this? Soon, all of the Addisons were jealous of Spamton's success and stopped going out to the grill with him because, wasn't he a big shot? The Addisons figured that he didn't need them anymore, but it didn't matter if they were with him or not. Spamton's success only grew. Because of his success, he decided that he needed a new look, so he dyed his hair black, put on a red suit and a yellow tie. His ads were all over Cyber City, and they said, "Take a ride around town in our special Kungadero." Soon, everybody knew his name. He was a celebrity now. Spamton got so successful that he even moved into a luxurious room inside of Queen's mansion. He bragged about big deals, big cars, and big commercials. But all of a sudden, things started to break. The person on the phone disappeared. His sales went straight down the drain and dropped to zero. Everything came crashing down. Things got so bad that he was soon evicted from his own room. That same day, Blue decided to check on him, but Spamton was already gone. He seemed to have left in the middle of a conversation because the phone was still hanging off the table, and Blue could hear someone on the other end. But when he put the receiver to his ear, there was nothing but garbage noise. Chapter 2. When Spamton was evicted, they threw him in a trash can, which would become his new home. But he was still in denial that he wasn't famous anymore, so he wore a pair of pink and yellow glasses to imitate Swatch's look to try to stay relevant. He also now wore a black suit with white pants, and had red on his cheeks. But Spamton had now gone completely insane, and became broken. Because of this, he became a puppet. He talked in broken text, just like a spam email, and he repeated the same phrase, "Now's your chance to be a big shot," over and over again. Spamton built a new shop out of a pile of trash bags against a wall. He painted the wall to look like a blue sky with the sun and clouds. Spamton also fell into the Queen's acid pool, and his body shrunk down and became a lot smaller than the other Addisons. Years passed. His ads were covered up by new ones. His name was forgotten, and no one ever talked about him, ever again. Things were just the way they were before Spamton's fame, until Chris and Susie had landed in the cyber world and started on their quest to seal the dark fountain with their friend Rousey. On their journey, Chris has to walk through an alleyway to get to the traffic button to get rid of the traffic. While Chris is walking, a dumpster opens and the #1 rated salesman 1997, Spamton pops out. He sees that Chris is a likener and wants their soul, or as he calls it, heart-shaped object. He wants it so he can get rid of his strings and become a real beau. Spamton is quick to make a deal and asks Chris to go to his shop later. When they do, Spamton asks Chris to buy the key gen from him so they can access the basement and get him the empty disk. So Chris finds and brings it to him, and Spamton puts himself inside the empty disk and asks Chris to put it back where it was. Once Chris does this, Spamton transforms into his Neo form. Now that he's Neo, he doesn't have to be a puppet anymore. Or so he thought. There were still strings attached to him, and he was furious. All he wanted was to become a real beau. yet he was still a puppet held up by green strings. Desperate to be real again, he decides to take Chris's soul via killing them. Luckily, Susie and Rouse arrive to try and help Chris. This is when Spanton learns that Chris has friends and tries to take all three of their souls. But then, Chris's soul turns yellow and is able to shoot projectiles at Spanton. He's amazed at this because now Chris can shoot big shots and is now proud of Chris. Spanton and the three begin to fight to the death inside of the basement. While Big Shot is playing in the background, Spanton is flying in the air being held up by strings. The rest are all on carts that all race towards Spanton. However, he was moving backward just as quick. It was an exciting battle, with Spanton shooting Pippies while the three cut off his strings in hopes of freeing him, because they didn't want to kill him. After a while, Chris, Susie, and Rouse had cut off nearly all of his strings, with only one left. When Spanton notices this, he is overjoyed because now he can be free and fly away. He tells Chris to cut that last string and turn him into a real bow. "Watch me fly, mama," he said. But unfortunately, he didn't fly. He collapsed on the ground and laid there motionless. Everything stopped, the carts, the music, and the lights. Chris decided that the only way of saving him was using some vines to make new strings. Spanton came back to life, but he realized he couldn't be anything more than a simple puppet. He tells them that they're strong, and with power like that, maybe they can break their own strings. Spanton wants to become their strength, so he turns into the Deal Maker. The Deal Maker is the pink and yellow glasses that Spanton wears. And that's the rise and fall of Spanton G. Spanton.